there has been a quiet but growing sense among the Rangers support that something familiar is beginning to resurface just as the season edges toward a decisive stretch. With the winter window approaching and movement starting to ripple through clubs across Britain, attention has naturally drifted toward a former midfielder whose story never really felt finished in Glasgow. Developments elsewhere have brought his situation back into focus, and what once seemed distant now feels far more realistic, especially as Rangers continue to balance ambition with the realities of squad depth and momentum in the months ahead. The player in question is Joe Aribo, a name that still carries weight around Ibrox. His current chapter in England has reached a crossroads, with indications that he is ready to move on when the January window opens. After a difficult period marked by inconsistency and limited opportunities, the midfielder's time at Southampton appears to be nearing its end. Since the club slipped out of the Premier League, his role has diminished significantly, and changes behind the scenes only accelerated his slide down the pecking order. Weeks passed without meaningful involvement, and his reappearance later in the year under different guidance merely underlined how far his standing had fallen. Despite those struggles, Aribo's reputation among Rangers supporters has never wavered. His performances in blue were defined by reliability, intelligence on the ball, and an ability to rise to the biggest occasions. That unforgettable goal on a European final night remains etched into club memory, a moment that elevated him from a solid contributor to a figure tied forever to one of Rangers' most dramatic modern journeys. It is no surprise, then, that any hint of availability immediately sparks discussion about whether the timing might finally align for a return north of the border. Contract circumstances have only intensified that conversation, with the midfielder edging into the final half year of his deal. Southampton are understood to be open to a relatively modest fee against the backdrop of inflated markets. That figure feels manageable, especially for a player already proven in Scottish football and fully aware of what life at Rangers demands. Interest from abroad has been suggested, yet the pull of familiarity of a club where he once felt central and trusted remains a compelling factor in the debate. Still, the situation is far from straightforward. When Aribo left Glasgow, his reasoning was clear and thoughtful. He spoke openly about the importance of stepping beyond comfort, about timing and personal growth, and about testing himself in new surroundings. That mindset took him back to England with purpose, and while the results have not unfolded as hoped, it leaves open the question of whether he would view a return as a backward step or as a chance to reset and reignite his career in an environment that once brought out his best. What is undeniable is that his minutes this season have been scarce, barely reaching triple figures, a reality that weighs heavily for a player entering what should be his prime years. Recent comments from within Southampton have painted a picture of a player who remains committed and physically ready, someone whose attitude has not dipped despite reduced involvement. That makes the likelihood of a clean break even stronger, as both club and player appear to be moving toward a solution that offers clarity rather than continued frustration. For Rangers, it presents a familiar dilemma, balancing sentiment with strategy, weighing emotional appeal against tactical need, and deciding whether this is the right moment to reunite with a footballer who once fit so naturally into their system. While that storyline simmers, Rangers have also received a boost on another front, one that could quietly shape the trajectory of their winter campaign. As December fixtures stack up and early January looms large, The club had been preparing to lose two important squad members to the Africa Cup of Nations. The potential disruption was significant, particularly in midfield, where balance and energy are crucial during a relentless run of matches. Preparations were made with the expectation that both players would be absent, forcing adjustments at a time when stability often proves decisive. That outlook has now shifted. Only one of the two is set to depart after a late change in international selection spared Rangers a more severe blow. The midfielder, who had been tipped as a near certainty for inclusion, has instead been left behind, a decision shaped by competition for places and recent international continuity rather than club form alone. For the player, it is undoubtedly a disappointment, but for Rangers, it changes everything. His retention in Glasgow ensures that the heartbeat of the midfield remains intact during a stretch where control and discipline can define results. Coaches around the club have consistently highlighted his importance, pointing to the way his energy underpins pressing patterns and how his positional awareness allows others to flourish around him. Even with a short-term suspension interrupting his schedule, his availability across the festive period and into early January provides continuity at a time when disruption seemed unavoidable. Most significantly, his presence stretches into the new year, keeping him available for the first Old Firm derby of the calendar. Matches of that magnitude often ripple far beyond the final whistle, influencing confidence, belief, and the direction of the title race itself. Having a settled midfield option ready for that occasion is no small advantage, especially when margins are traditionally so fine. There is still a loss to absorb, with another squad member set to represent his nation and leave a gap in defensive areas, but the overall impact has been softened considerably. What once threatened to be a double setback has been reduced, allowing Rangers to approach this demanding phase with greater assurance and fewer compromises. As attention continues to shift between transfer speculation and immediate challenges on the pitch, the sense grows that small changes, timely decisions, and unexpected reprieves may yet combine to shape how Rangers navigate the weeks ahead, with familiar faces and steady continuity playing their part in what remains a finely balanced season. As the calendar turns toward the heart of winter, the atmosphere around Rangers feels increasingly charged with possibility rather than anxiety. What often defines successful seasons is not only the quality of football on display, but how a squad navigates moments of uncertainty, adapts to shifting circumstances, and capitalizes on opportunities that emerge unexpectedly. Right now, Rangers find themselves in precisely that space, where careful management behind the scenes could prove just as influential as performances under the lights at Ibrox. The coaching staff are acutely aware that the coming weeks will demand both physical resilience and mental sharpness. Matches arrive with little breathing room, and any lapse in concentration can quickly snowball into dropped points or unnecessary pressure. That is why recent developments regarding squad availability have been met with quiet relief inside the club. Retaining a key midfield presence through this period offers far more than tactical consistency. It brings leadership, familiarity, and an understanding of the tempo required to control difficult matches when legs grow heavy and patience is tested. Midfield, more than any other area, often dictates how Rangers impose themselves domestically. When energy levels dip, structure becomes essential, and the ability to win second balls, recycle possession, and disrupt opponents' rhythm can decide whether dominance translates into goals. Keeping continuity in that zone allows the side to maintain an identity, one built on intensity without chaos and purpose without recklessness. It also eases the burden on younger players who might otherwise be asked to step into unfamiliar roles under immense scrutiny. Against that backdrop, discussions around potential January recruitment take on a sharper edge. Any move must complement what already exists rather than disrupt it, and familiarity with the league remains a powerful advantage. That is why the conversation around Joe Aribo continues to resonate so strongly. His past understanding of Rangers' expectations, both tactical and emotional, sets him apart from many external options. He required little adaptation during his first spell, and that history naturally feeds the belief that he could reintegrate quickly if circumstances align. At the same time, Rangers are wary of nostalgia driving decisions. Modern football leaves little room for sentimentality. When margins are so thin, recruitment must be rooted in need, timing, and value, and any addition must arrive with hunger rather than comfort. For Aribo, should a return materialize, that hunger would need to be evident, shaped by a desire to reclaim rhythm and relevance after a challenging period elsewhere. From the club's perspective, the question is whether his skill set addresses present needs or simply rekindles fond memories of past success. Off the pitch, the Rangers' support remain attuned to every development. The connection between fans and squad has tightened during this demanding campaign, built on shared resilience rather than effortless dominance. Home performances have carried an edge driven by intensity in the stands that often lifts the team during difficult spells, with major fixtures looming, particularly those that carry historical and emotional weight. The importance of unity cannot be overstated. A settled squad, free from excessive disruption, allows that connection to strengthen rather than fragment. There is also a broader sense that Rangers are learning from previous winters. Past campaigns have shown how quickly momentum can stall when injuries mount or absences pile up. This time, the club appear determined to manage risk, rotate intelligently, and lean on stability wherever possible, keeping experienced options available through December and into the new year provides breathing space, enabling smarter decisions rather than reactive ones. The Europa League adds another layer to this equation. Balancing domestic ambition with continental commitment stretches resources, but it also sharpens the squad's edge. Facing varied opposition forces adaptability, while the intensity of those nights often spills positively into league form. Managing suspensions and fatigue becomes a delicate exercise, one that benefits hugely from having trusted midfield options ready to step in without compromising structure. As January approaches, speculation will inevitably intensify, linking Rangers with names old and new. Yet within the club, there is a clear awareness that the foundations of any success during this phase will come from cohesion rather than wholesale change. Incremental adjustments informed by immediate needs are far more likely than dramatic overhauls. That measured approach reflects confidence in the group already assembled and faith in their ability to respond when pressure increases. For players on the fringes, the coming weeks represent opportunity as much as challenge. With fixtures arriving in rapid succession, rotation will be essential, and those who seize their moments could redefine their roles for the remainder of the season. Competition for places, managed correctly, tends to sharpen standards rather than unsettle them, and Rangers will be keen to harness that internal drive as they push through this intense period. Looking ahead, the sense around the club is one of cautious optimism, not because obstacles have disappeared, but because some have shifted in Rangers' favour at exactly the right time. Retaining key figures, limiting disruption, and remaining open to the right additions rather than any additions keeps the focus firmly on performance. As the season reaches its most demanding phase, those marginal gains, often unnoticed in isolation, begin to accumulate, shaping the narrative of the months to come and setting the tone for everything that follows. Within the dressing room, there is also a growing awareness that experience will matter just as much as form during this stretch. Players who have already lived through title run-ins, high-pressure derbies, and European knockout nights carry a different calm when matches become tense, and that calm can spread through the team, slowing the game when needed and adding edge when momentum threatens to slip. So Rangers have leaned heavily on that kind of presence in past seasons, and keeping that balance intact through winter could again be decisive. The internal competition created by a more settled squad is another quiet positive. When absences are limited, standards in training tend to rise, as players know places are earned rather than protected. That intensity sharpens decision-making on match days and reinforces accountability across the group. Coaching voices around the club have often stressed that consistency of personnel allows ideas to embed more deeply, turning patterns of play into instinct rather than instruction, something that only becomes visible over sustained runs of fixtures. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. There's been a fair bit of chatter buzzing around Scottish football this week after Celtic's midfield maestro Callum McGregor let slip a comment that's got tongues wagging across the terraces. In a recent chat, McGregor apparently opened up on why he never made the switch to Rangers. And let's just say it wasn't exactly a ringing endorsement of the Ibrox side. That's why I didn't go to Rangers, he's reported to have said, before adding a few choice words about the team being, well, a bit on the weak side. Naturally, the remark has sent social media into overdrive. I assume the Rangers fans are scowling into their screens and analysts are scratching their heads, and the sort of late-night phone-in shows you'd expect to hear in Glasgow are buzzing with speculation. Is this a sly dig at the club's recent struggles? A hint that McGregor never fancied being part of the so-called other side of Glasgow, or just the midfielder being his usual candid self? Nobody's quite sure, but it's all anyone's talking about. Celtic supporters, meanwhile, are lapping it up, seeing McGregor's words as proof that their skipper is loyal to the hoops and knows exactly where his heart lies. Some have even joked that Rangers might need more than a few transfers if they hope to tempt a player of his caliber. The murmurs in the pub and online forums suggest that this isn't just a casual slip. It could be the beginning of a proper media feud, one that might flare up every time the old firm clash comes round again. What's especially juicy is that McGregor didn't just say he stayed away. He went the extra mile by implying that Rangers simply aren't strong enough to warrant a move. And in a league where pride, history, and bragging rights matter as much as goals, that kind of comment doesn't stay buried. The football gossip mills are already spinning, imagining headlines, debates, and perhaps even a cheeky response from someone at Ibrox. But now, though, it's all talk. No transfers, no official statements, just the tantalizing hint that one of Scotland's most consistent performers sees the green and white stripes as home. and perhaps more importantly, views Rangers as a team not quite at his level. And in the world of Scottish football, a line like that is bound to ripple for weeks to come. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.